people need to boycott going to games, stop buying merchandise, stop doing NFL Sunday ticket. And do all that, put some pressure on the Roonies.
Yeah.
Sorry, my video is stuttering here. This is the latest new video that Marcus and I shot over the weekend.
I'm done spending a obscene amount of money on Vegas.
Fresh, never frozen.
Who says you can't make cinematic video with a Neo?
All the way to the top.
I got one for sale if you want it, Ron.
Oh, I was going to try to sell you mine so I can afford that new flip.
Yeah.
Welcome in, folks. So this is DroneNation for January 13th, 2025. We're calling this O4 Air Unit Nation and the DJI Flip preview show tonight. And yes, I am back. My doctor says I'm AFib free now. I've been checking my watch. I haven't hit any high heart rates since the surgery. Of course, I've been taking it easy. But today I did get out and about a little bit, and everything seems to be fine. So all the folks who reached out, sent me messages, text messages, calls, whatever. Thank you so much. If I didn't get back to everybody, I'm still going to try to get back to you because I slept a lot last week. I came down with I think I caught a cold while I was in the hospital. So by Wednesday, the cold was worse than the surgery recovery. Bill can tell us about his cold recovery. So, but everything's back to good. Enough of that. I'm going to make a full video where I kind of explain what I went through last week, so I don't have to.
Ron, you are the heart and soul of this drone community. You are, buddy.
Thank you.
So
and
we were all
Marcus, you, and everybody else last week who held the fort down and put a real good show up last Monday night.
You gonna show us the scar, Ron? You gonna show us the?
Oh, well, guess what? You don't want me to show because they went through my groin right near the,
No.
DeMarco asked, I didn't volunteer. He asked. So, I would only show
TMI.
How do you screenshot on a Macintosh? Hold on, wait. How do you do that?
The thing, the clip, the thing in the floor or whatever. But listen, folks, on a more serious note here, before we get started.
Where's Johnny?
Oh, well, that's a secret guest star.
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
before we do anything else, I thought I put this in notes here, but I don't see it. I want to send thoughts and prayers out for all the, the firefighters, the police, the first responders, even more importantly, the victims of the wildfire in Southern California. Southern California can't even say here. So, I mean, my heart goes out to that people. It looks like one of the biggest kind of, I guess you call it natural disasters in the history of the country. So, I don't know what more I can say. It's the news, it's a news story. It's on first every night. And it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon.
What a tragedy. I mean, it's just almost beyond words.
I have a friend from high school who I graduated with who lives in Los Angeles, and he told me he has a bag packed for he and his wife because they don't know. They were told to do that, and so he has one packed. He works at the Getty Museum, and he said, I think that the Getty Museum was on fire as well, too. So it's just it's a nightmare. He says it looks like it looks like an apocalypse.
Yeah.
Is what from his words.
Wow.
Has
anybody spoken to Steve Carpenter or to how's Ray's son doing, or even Dre? I mean, are they near there at all?
I do. Dre went live yesterday for 40-some minutes, so
I did see Dre on. Nothing about Steve Carpenter, and I didn't hear anything from Captain Ray.
And Captain Ray's on a cruise ship in the Caribbean, and
that's right.
I think he's out of reach of internet and stuff right now. So, but that's good point. So, again, we could make a whole show out of this. Talk more about it, maybe. When we get more, more deep. Well, we will talk more about it in another segment of the show. So I'm going to move on now, and we'll spin back to it a little bit later in the show. Marcus has a few things he wants to say about an incident there. I do want to say we do have Bill the Drone Viewer with us tonight. John Cuppi will be here. You see his little thing up there. He had to run a little bit of errand, so he will be back. So what we're going to do, we're going to get a lot of flip talk out of the way first, and when John gets back, we'll go into Air Unit Nation or whatever. And I think we're going to have a special superstar mystery guest join us for the Air Unit stuff too. Whatever. Marcus kind of let it slip a little bit, but I think
who was that, Ron? Who's our mystery guest?
we can't even say the name. It's a big.
I don't even know. You lost me.
He's so big we can't even say the
Yeah,
name.
he's a big star.
So we got to get right to DeMarco here. DeMarco Moore's Fearless Monday Night Football forecast, the wild card edition. This is DeMarco's biggest pick of the year because of the playoff game. Now, DeMarco was spot on last week. He predicted my Philadelphia Eagles over the Green Bay Packers yesterday, and he was right. The Eagles led the game from start to finish. And Bill, unfortunately for Bill, they're the only Pennsylvania team still left in the playoffs.
Well, I was right. I had got all my picks right, except the one that I missed. I picked Tampa to beat Washington. I was very
well. You came right down to that doink on the field goal.
The doink on the field goal hit the goalpost and went through. Wow,
that was the only good game of the weekend, Bill.
Yeah, that was a good game. That really was a good game.
Yeah. So okay, here we're going to set the mark. Well, we got the Minnesota Vikings with a record of 14-3, and I did say 14-3. Versus the LA Rams with a 10-7 record. Now the Vikings are giving 2.5 points up tonight, and the unusual thing is there's no real home field advantage tonight because of the LA wildfires. The games got moved to Glendale, Arizona, home of the Phoenix Cardinals or the Arizona Cardinals. So there's really not much of a home field. DeMarco, what are your thoughts on this big final playoff game of the weekend?
This is an easy one. I mean, I can't pick the Vikings because they are division rivals to my Bears. So I'm going with the Rams, and their two-star players are Florida State grads. What's his name? Damn, the name just left me. Verse and Fisk.
Okay.
Fisk before he came to Florida State, he went to Western Michigan, which is Shelley's old school, my wife's school.
Wow.
So she's all happy about that. So I'm picking the Rams to win. Come on.
We got Bill the Drone Viewer here. Will you give us a bonus pick tonight? Will you pick that game also?
Oh, I'll pick the game. The Vikings are down 7-0. I just found that out, but my money's on the Vikings. They've been playing well all season long. I don't think the Rams have what it takes.
Detroit craved them.
I don't think the Rams have what it takes, especially defensively.
I'm going to split the difference here. I'm going to back DeMarco up and take the Rams just because. Only for the shooter's point that they have Matthew Stafford. If he gets hot, he's a hard man to stop. He's a gunslinger if he gets it going.
Yes.
So
the Georgia Bulldog.
But let's get off football before we lose most of the audience here. I'm going to start us off with one quick story here before we move on to the kind of big story. I think I may have a graphic up here. Bear with me here, folks. Here, get my producer stuff back here. Do we have it up here? Yes. Last week, I believe last Tuesday, we didn't have a launch party or anything. But hey, show note before I go on, there will be a launch party tomorrow morning on DroneNation, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, I did say 8 a.m. Eastern Time for the DJI Flip. So I know, Johnny said he'll be there. Bill the Drone Viewer is coming. Marcus, of course, DeMarco will try to make it after dropping the first run of kids off. I believe Tom Dollinger will be there also. So Tom hope he knows how early he's got to get up. But anyhow, should program, But last Tuesday we did get the release of the DJI Matrice 4E and the 4T. Now the 4E comes in at a cool $47.99. That's $4,799, and the thermal version comes in at $72.99. Now I know none of us on this panel are much of an enterprise people, but I did watch a couple of videos, including Billy Kyle's. He showed the incredible zoom off. It was pretty impressive. Anybody else from the panel have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I watched Billy's video as well. That's a great. You know what? I'll tell you what. For DJI's really priced this right, especially for enterprise customers, first responders. This is a steal for what it does and the capabilities of it, especially the thermal one for $7,200. I mean, that's a real steal for what you get for it. I mean, they include a year of care refresh with it. You know, it's set up, it's ready to go. The thermal imaging on there is fantastic from everything that I've seen. And, you know, they made it attractive. I mean, because, you know, if you had to get a Matrice 30, I mean, you're looking what, $20,000-$30,000 or something like that. And for this, I mean,
it's much affordable for a smaller fire company.
Exactly. This is
and
kudos to DJI for making this affordable. And Billy did a good
Billy
video.
showed some of the AI features off too, and they were pretty incredible.
Yeah, Billy did a great video. I was real impressed, especially flying from inside his Tesla. I saw that. That was
And this is exactly the unit I want my first responders, police, and fire people to have in their hands.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it looks. You got to admit, this thing looks a lot like a Mavic 3 Pro. I mean, if you take a look at it.
Yeah. Marcus, thoughts?
This is so out of my wheelhouse. I don't have any thoughts at all about it.
DeMarco?
It looks great, but yeah. I'm never buying. I would never fly one of those.
Me either. So it's like,
but you probably hope your local first responders have one, right, in the back of their truck.
I hope so. Yeah, I got my Part 107, but I don't fly commercial drones. How's that, Ron?
You never too old to start.
One of the things, Ron, that I really like with this is the controller, and I wish DJI would give us a controller like that, like on a Mavic 4, because that controller is state of the art. I really, really love it.
Yeah, but if I got a controller like that, they'd have to guarantee me that controller is going to run all the drones for the next 5 years or better, though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here, Doran said it's only rated for -10 Celsius for an enterprise drone. So apparently it's not a good cold drone.
Well, not for Calgary. We know that.
That's true.
Yeah, it'll work in Florida, though, probably. Thanks for that info, Lauren. I didn't really, I guess, well, Billy did fly. He made that video in Canada. He went up to test that parachute. So Billy was in Canada when he did that. So
yeah, it was cold.
Yeah. Okay, folks. I think unless anybody has any more, we'll get off the Enterprise. Marcus?
No, I just was saying hi to Dr. B.
Okay, we're going to get off of Enterprise drones here. Enterprise Nation is over. So the next on the list is the air units, but we're waiting for John Cuppi. He had to run kind of a mission of mercy or whatever. He will be back shortly. So we're going to skip on to...
Oh, hold it. No, you're saying it wrong. Let me say it for you, Ron. We are going to flip the order of how we were talking about.
I like what you did there. I like what you did there, Marcus. See, that's a big time show move. So, as Marcus said, we're going to flip the order and go with the new DJI Flip. Open new possibilities. January 14th, 2025, 8 a.m. Eastern. You all got the email last week. DJI released a teaser on all their social medias. And let me get like a little kind of a graphic going here. And I already mentioned we're going to have a show tomorrow morning. And let me get back here. Oh, I didn't get it up there right. Sorry. Hold on.
Warren didn't like my introduction.
Well, Warren had a real good thing in the chat too that I asked him if I could steal.
Oh, he did. Okay.
That's not it. Let's see here.
Oh, no, but hold it. Jim did like it.
Yeah. You know what? I can't. I think I flipped my first thing away there by accident. So we're going to go to something else here. Okay. There's Jasper has a little video of the thing actually in flight there. If that's real.
Does it actually flip?
Well, we didn't see you flipping. All we did was see a little hovering.
It's way bigger than I thought.
Well, did you see the unboxing video?
That guy did a good job, by the way. We got to give him kudos. That's a channel I'd never heard of, but I
Yeah.
thought he was very thorough.
Yeah, he did a good job. I was impressed with that.
Yeah.
I can't get this. I want to get a certain screen up here, but it's kind of fighting me here. Okay, I got it now. Here is a here's a little picture of it all folded up, and it mentions some of the features here. It's got the folding propellers with cover, weighs less than 249 grams. It tracks objects using AI. It has a 1/1/3 CMOS sensor. It does 4K 60 HDR video, and it has a flight time up to 31 minutes. So none of those features are anything new. We've seen them on recent releases from DJI. I guess the folding up is the real innovation here. And I'll go around the panel here. I'll go top to bottom here. Marcus, your thoughts so far?
Well, we definitely need to know more. It's again, looking at those videos earlier today, it's bigger than I thought it would be. The 1/1.3 sensor tells me it's like a Mini 4K style or Mini 4 Pro size camera. We just don't know enough yet. It is. I do like the way it folds up with how all the propellers fold in like that, but it's still a lot bigger than I thought it would be. Because here's the thing: a drone like this, an autonomous drone, a critical factor, I think, is to be able to carry it in your pocket. And if you can't do that, it's pretty big.
Good thoughts. John just got back. I'm going to skip John for a second here while he gets himself settled and go to Bill. Thoughts on the flip?
Yeah, I agree with Marcus. It's bigger than I thought it was going to be. I'm still waiting to hear if it has LiDAR or not. I mean, it says tracking objects using AI. Because a lot of what I've seen is that it does have LiDAR. So if it does, I mean, that would really check a lot of people's boxes right there. I do like the 4K 60 on here. I think that's good. And I think realistically speaking, 31 minutes, you'll probably get maybe about 21, 22 minutes tops for something like that, which is good because, this isn't a drone you're going to want to take out and, do, like I did. I took a flight yesterday around the entire property where we live, and this isn't that kind of a drone. This isn't what it was meant for, but it's definitely
on the unboxing video, you can see how small the batteries are.
Yeah. And I think, my big takeaway is this is an upgrade from a Neo, but not quite a Mini.
DeMarco, more.
I saw a flight review video right before I came on, and the guy was saying that it's a mix between the Neo and the Mini. Bill, that front screen there or plastic there, that's not the LiDAR. That's the same thing that the Neo has when you're searching through the flight modes.
Oh, it's the LCD screen to tell you what mode you're in.
Yeah. The
right
mode there too.
Yeah, that video showed that.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's nice. Like Mark was saying, though, it's sort of large to fit in your pocket, though. But hey, I mean, it might not be for me though. But somebody else will fly. It's fine with me. So.
Ultimately, we don't know enough about it yet. But Bill, they did that kid on that video did say it had LiDAR. So.
Oh, did he? I didn't see that, Marcus. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to see that. I think that's going to check a lot of boxes for a lot of people. Because I tell you what, having that on the Air 3S, that's like, wow.
We hard to go back, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, it's hard once you've been there. It's hard to go back. Exactly.
Let me throw this at you. So what we don't know is the speeds of this thing yet. So one of the big things that the Hover Air that they are really promoting is that it can track at high speeds. And the kind of people that are interested in these autonomous drones, are snowboarders, mountain bikers, those
People
kind of
people moving fast-moving devices,
action sports people, and so they want fast tracking. So potentially, maybe this is faster. We don't know yet.
And of course, we do see the lack of what looks like the lack of obstacle avoidance sensors. So I guess it's relying on those kind of inducted type of props. the bumping into things to be its obstacle avoidance.
Yeah, that video that I watched, it bumped into a tree limb and stayed there. The guy said for 30 seconds. Yeah,
Because
so,
the Neo is real good at bumping into things and not falling out of the air.
yeah.
Barkley said Johnny's girlfriend, Justine, already has it.
I'm sure her review's getting ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to John. He just kind of stepped in here, and he's kind of here for the air unit, but I still want to hear John's thoughts on the flip.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. Looking at it, I want to see more about it, obviously, but just off the bat, it comes pretty safe, right, out of the box with the prop guards and all that. And I think you probably get a pretty good visual on it too, flying line of sight. It's going to be hard to miss where it is with the size of those prop guards. So I think that's pretty neat. Super safe right out of the box.
Yeah.
And for operations over people, no doubt, is what they were thinking about. Yeah.
That was my thought. Yep. Same thought as you guys.
Yeah.
I've got one more screen I want to get up here. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I don't know if I made that big enough here, but here's some pricing leaks. And the pricing leaks, are they're all in the ballpark to kind of what's here. Drone only $439. I've seen it up as high as $499, but or maybe a couple dollars lower than that. So that's for drone only. So we're assuming, we don't know anything. Well, it's showing these pictures here, but again, we don't know anything, that you can just fly this without anything at all, or just with your phone, just like the little Neo. Again, that'll be confirmed tomorrow at 8 a.m. Bundled with an RC2 controller. That's the controller without the screen on it. They had that going for $639, and they had the Fly More combo, which includes extra batteries. And I think that's with the RC. Well, the one with the screen on it, they have $779. I've seen that as high as $799. I'll go right top to bottom again. Marcus, thoughts on these pricing leaks?
Well, I guess I was going to ask if you were going to pop the big question. And by the way, our super secret guest just messaged me and said he's running late. Anyway,
shameful.
It is. It's John. So
we should take that out of his chat.
Well, we're probably paying him by the hours. That just saves our payroll.
We do him the honor of inviting him on the show, and I don't know. I don't know about you guys. That's kind of. But anyway, I'm sorry. These prices I get are probably competitive. I think, especially when you consider that the Hover Air X1 Pro Max, their kind of Fly More thing, although it doesn't have a controller, while the one with the controller is over $1,000. So I would say that this is priced competitively with that particular product. But the big question for the whole panel is, are you going to buy one? And I'm going to start by saying, yes, I very likely will. However, I'm going to qualify it by saying it's because mostly 90% because I want to review it on my channel. I guess I'm going to say. Other than that, I'm not sure that I would purchase this drone.
Before we move on, I do want to say, Marcus, I saw somebody leaked photos today. This new help me, flip beside that DJI RC track device. So I would love to see that tracking device released.
Boy, howdy. Yeah, absolutely, Ron.
I'll give you my thoughts about, the pricing. I mean, the pricing seems good. I mean, DJI looks like they've held the pricing line again. As of right, I mean, I could give you a whole different story tomorrow at about 8:05, but right now, I have no interest in it. I mean, I hardly ever fly a Neo. I just don't need a tracking drone. I don't do that much self-tracking or whatever. I like controllers I like drones with controllers. Now, I realize this comes in a controlling box, but I mean, what's the point of having a fold-up drone sits in my pocket? The controller doesn't fold up. I still got to somehow bring them back for the controller or whatever. Until you give me a fold-up mini controller, a fold-up drone's kind of defeating the purpose of.
Well, you can fly it with your phone, though.
Yeah, you're confirming that it's just not that it's not a drone designed for what you need, Ron.
Yeah. I mean, I fly a Neo. I prefer flying a Neo with the phone But I mean, but I don't really need that type of drone. I mean, outside of making the drone review video, I never do any such tracking type videos or whatever, so it's just, I mean, $199 for a drone I didn't need. That's more palatable than, say, going to the $500 for a drone I don't need. So, but I could change my mind tomorrow morning. And plus, first of all, it's dead in the winter now. I'm not flying any drones now. I may not buy one until I'm on the way to Florida for the meetup or whatever, where I actually can fly a drone. But let me stop talking. And John, what do you think about pricing here?
Yeah, I'll keep this brief. I mean, I actually agree with both of you guys' points as to why I probably won't buy this on release date. That, and I need to buy Goggles 3 first. That's where my money's got to go before I even think about buying something like this. So, but it's not out of my price range. And if I was looking to, say, do a job, especially, flight over people, that kind of thing, this might be right up my alley. But like right now, nah, I'm not super interested in it. I do think it looks interesting, the way it folds up and you can put it away, but it's not something I have any desire to jump on.
It's
away.
not cutting edge in any ways. It's just a bunch of kind of older DJI technology, kind of put it in a foldable drone.
Hey, John just made an important point, and I don't want to lose it. If you're a professional, if you're somebody that does weddings and so forth, that kind of thing, and you want to do operations over people, you can't do that with the Avata. It's too heavy, the Avata 2. And even that Hover Air, the X1 Pro Max, got a great camera, but it doesn't have a controller that you can fly it with like that. Well, they got a kind of a controller. I don't know how well it works. However, you could buy this kit with that RC2 controller, and you're shooting a wedding or something like that. Boom. That's a really important point, John.
It could be a niche product. Yeah, definitely. Bill, What are your thoughts on the pricing?
I think the pricing I think DJI priced this well. I'm thinking first of all, my thoughts, comparing it like to a hover. I think they're pricing it well. I think if you're looking at a hover versus this, I think this would probably be a better option, especially with the option to have the controller with it. I'm like Marcus. If I do this, I'm going to do this for the channel for review's sake. And then what I would probably do, if I do make that decision tomorrow morning, I'd probably just get the drone only, because I'm sure it's going to work with one of the controllers I have already. And quite frankly, I don't need multiple batteries with something like this, because for me, I'm going to go out there for 15, 20 minutes, use it, and I'll be done. So,
Bill, let me stop you real quick. I did see somebody leaked. I posted someplace the pricing on the accessory. I think an extra battery was $79. So if you already had the controller, you could just get the $439, add another battery, be about $500. Use a controller.
Yeah, that would be very palatable. And then just a side note for those of you who are going to go ahead and pull the trigger tomorrow morning, if you do it, get a package, okay? Get everything at once. Don't piecemeal it together, because what will happen is it'll delay shipping to you. I can tell you that right now. So if you're going to get a bundle, get the bundle, okay? But if you want to buy the drone and then buy a battery, do it separately, because if you bundle it together, it's going to delay your shipping. And we know after the last time, especially, with the Air 3S and then with the Neo, there's been delays in it coming over from the mothership. So
I'm glad you brought that up. The Neo didn't ship for the U.S. people, not the rest of the world, but the U.S. The Neo didn't ship until about 30 days after it was released to U.S. people. How do you think shipping will go on this one?
It used to be, you used to be able to say, you roll the dice and say, yeah, it's coming, that they already have it in their distribution centers here in the United States. But anymore, I'm not sure. If this is going to come from mainland China, then all bets are off. I think it's going to come from, probably from mainland China, and Lord knows, it may be a couple of weeks before we see it. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Another reason not to rush out and buy it on day one, I guess.
Yeah. And then, also too, and then I'll let DeMarco go. I think you're probably only going to see it at DJI. I don't think you're going to see it at Amazon, Best Buy, any of the outlets. I think you're only going to see this at DJI on launch day. And I think that's probably what we're going to see for a while.
From here on out. Yeah, I agree.
I really do.
And don't order if it has to come through the port of Miami. You could get stuck in customs.
Yeah. Ask Dobo.
Yeah, or Minnesota's it's gotten to do. I don't know. I can't confirm whether he's got his Air 3S or not. But DeMarco, thoughts on the pricing and the shipping of this new flip?
Same thing there. The pricing looks fine, but what Marcus was saying, no, it's it's a tool that I don't need. If you're a photographer and like you want to fly over people, or if that's your thing, flying over people, get it. But something like that, I would.
Things like youth football games, DeMarco.
No,
or
I'm out there coaching. I can't fly. Yeah.
Okay.
Practice maybe,
Yeah,
but
Just checking, buddy.
But
Even-
here, let me say this. Look, I'm
I
not
hate-
throwing shade at that thing. It's just not what I need. The same way how we were talking about that $4,700 drone. No, like I don't need that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'll bring up real fast. I know I say this every time, but since it's under 249 gram drone, DJI it won't have a remote ID on it, or it won't be activated. So to fly with people, you will need to add your own remote
Oh,
ID.
that's a great point, Ron. We need to look for that. Good thinking, buddy.
I mean, I'm just assuming that maybe DJI will change course, but the course on the recent releases where if it's under 249 gram, they don't offer remote ID except on that one drone where you put the bigger battery in it did.
Man, Ron, that is a great point.
But who knows? Maybe this will be different tomorrow. So I mean, okay. I haven't been keep up the chat here. Sorry. If you people have questions, chat. Sorry, since I really don't know anything more than anybody else does, except we're reading the leaks from our good friends Jasper Ellens and Igor Bogdanovich. I think I made that name up here, something like that. And those guys, even what's his name, the Cedar has been you kind of tweeting this one out. So again, I'm looking forward to see what all the things we don't know come out tomorrow. But it's just not I'm more of an old school drone flyer. I like to have the control. I mean, I like a drone. I know you can fly as a controller, but I like a drone where the main way to fly is with the controller, not as an afterthought. I like a controller first and whatever. I mean, yeah, sure, that's great. Flip up and go to your pocket, but I like a drone. I like to carry my controller, my drone, my extra batteries or whatever. I mean, that doesn't all fit in the pocket. I don't mind a little case or a little shoulder bag or whatever. I'm not hiking the Himalayas to fly my drone. I'm usually driving up to the location. So call me the old school curmudgeon drone flyer.
Hey, Richard asked a really great question. Ideas on the sound that thing is going to output. Unfortunately, those ducted quads, they always give off some level of noise. But who knows? Could be surprised.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's one.
I'm wondering that too. What is the sound?
I mean, like the Neo came out after the season, so it didn't bother me because, of course, while I live in a shore resort town, is deserted after Labor Day, so I can make all the noise I want in the off season. But that is a good point. Even if people want to fly indoors and so on. So I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Probably not from DJI, but from the either people that have it already, the early review people. So, any thoughts before we move on to Air Unit Nation?
I want to hear about that air unit, and particularly because and I'm not kidding, because I don't really know much about that technology, and I know Dr. John Cuppi does. So,
Dr. John.
Looking forward to it. Not dead serious. Looking forward to it.
Cool.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna get
We got
a little
pictures of
graphic
them pulled
going
up?
here if I can in a second here. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. Here we go. Okay, I think we can see this on the screen here. Just last Thursday, I don't know what date did I work that with, whatever date last Thursday was. DJI, they had a release. I forget what they called the release already, but they had two different models of the new O4 air units. I was on the 9th. We have a O4 air unit for $109, and then we have a O4 air unit Pro for $229. And of course, they're showing that the Goggles 3 are compatible with this, but I'm going to let John take care of a second. I think a lot of older goggles and controllers are available with this. Now, when I looked this up last night or whatever. It was sold. Both units are sold out as of right now, and I don't know if they're being sold anyplace else but DJI.com. I didn't really look real hard, but I think I looked on Amazon and nowhere else. But so this caused a lot of buzz. A lot of people have been waiting for this for months. They've been teasing this since last fall. So this is a pretty big release here. And I think one of the big advantages, they had that regular 109 air unit that will fit in, and John will talk about this more, the smaller quads, but what a lot of us call the little tiny ones or whatever. And before, I think they were kind of left out of the party. So I'm going to turn it over to John here, and you kind of give us an overview and your thoughts of it, and then we'll go around the panel for some additional thoughts. John.
Thanks, Ron. Yeah, so this is a super exciting release. To the point on compatibility, I want to talk about that here. So the O4 air units that we're looking at, they're compatible with DJI Goggles 3, the Goggles 2, and the Integra, and the new DJI Goggles N3. It is not, and probably never will be, compatible with the good old trusty V2, and obviously not the V1 goggles. I don't see DJI going back and
the V2s are pretty much the most popular DJI goggles of all time, right, John?
Yeah, they have been pretty popular. But I just don't see them going back and adding that support to that. But that being said, you have to consider the age of the V2s and that whole platform. So it doesn't surprise me. And all of DJI's new goggle options, there's a whole lot you can choose from. The Goggles N3 is $245. So think about this. For $250 by the Goggles N3. $100 ish. You buy the O4 Air Unit Lite. You're flying digital for pretty dang cheap. I mean, this DJI has raised the bar here to where going analog really just doesn't make as much sense for a lot of people anymore. Not when you can just get into digital for that price point. So
John, stop me for a second. Do you think the pricing on these overall on these units is pretty good?
Yes, I think it's highly competitive, and we'll talk about the Air Unit Lite. Ron, you were saying that people were really excited and really anticipating this. I've been hoping for DJI to make a product like the O4 Air Unit Lite for years, and I'm really surprised that they did it, because I never thought that they were going to create an air unit like that that's only about 8 grams ish, and it's capable to put on a 1S tiny whoop like this. There are some technical things to be mindful of about putting it on a 1S drone, and I don't know if we want to go into those things here, but the reality is that we have DJI for little tiny whoops like this, and it's not like people were putting the Vista on their tiny whoops. They were decasing the O3 area. Those things, the weight of those things, it's just a pig. This is just a nice lightweight kit, and I'm super excited that DJI actually said, hey, whoops are worth our time. Like, this is worth our time to develop a product like this. And yeah, I'm really stoked to get a DJI tiny whoop. I'm either going to add it to something that I already have now, or I'm just going to buy a new one. I mean, Happy Model is going to have a Mobula 7 and a Mobula 8 whoop with it pre-built. That's going to come soon. We have companies like Beta FPV are making flight controllers that are going to make it really easy to, you just get the flight controller. If you want to do a build, just get that flight controller, put it on there, boom, power for it is ready to go. So
John,
I'm really excited about this. Is going to change the micro world, I think.
These are plug and play. So if you have an O3 air unit drone, this is easy to take that out and drop this in its place?
Yep.
Is that correct?
Look what Lauren's.
Yeah. We could talk about that. Yeah. So that's one of some of the bad news. There are little pieces of bad news about the O4. We could talk about some of that, because that's a great point. So The O4 Pro has a new fat camera, and the mounting holes on it, they don't line up with literally anything standard. So unfortunately, it's just not going to fit a lot of frames on the market today. You're going to either need to 3D print a solution, or you're going to need to get a frame kit from whoever your frame is and retrofit it. I it's annoying, but I really think I can forgive DJI for that one, because it would have been really difficult to put the screws anywhere else, and they definitely wouldn't have worked in the typical standard place. I don't know if you can find a more close-up picture of that O4 camera, Ron, but it's huge. The lens is huge. It's a big camera. So I don't really give DJI too big of a hard time for what they did with the screws. And the market will adapt. I'm already seeing upgrade kits for some frames. The AOS frame that Chris Rosser makes already has a kit for it, and you're going to see the market adapt to it. So I'm really not worried about it. It won't be a big deal.
Did you see Thumb? It was Thumb Drone's comment was this will move more of the FPV world into the digital side. Yeah, Thumb Drone. I really think that especially for new pilots, the question of buying into analog is harder than ever before. Again, you get those goggles N3 for $245. I know I probably sound like a walking sale for DJI. That's why I'm John DJI Cuppi tonight. But I mean, I think it's great though. It's great. It'll get people onto digital right away. And I've loved my digital system since I had it, since I first got DJI in 2020, and this whole new O4. I've been waiting for a new pair of goggles and an air unit set like this to move me to upgrade, and I will be doing that as soon as possible. Picking up the goggles 3 is my plan, because as you know, I love the goggles 3. They're the only DJI goggle in that family of goggle that work well with my eyes and my face as far as comfort. So I'm pretty happy to go toward that direction finally. John, we have a man on the panel here just joined us a few minutes ago. He's ordered both the air units, I believe. Johnny?
I know, and I wish.
Yeah, I did. I ordered a O4, and then I ordered one of each. And my son-in-law is he's going to actually try to put it. John is a little tiny hawk, so he's going to try to adapt it into this. So, but yeah, it looks like fun. I know John would like it because I know he would love it, only because I know he does the center whoops, and man, that'll be a really nice addition to some people who have those center whoops to try to get them to fit.
Johnny, I'm already thinking.
Have you tracked the arrival date for your air unit yet?
It's supposed to ship tomorrow, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny, I'm already thinking about getting rid of the Vista in this and putting the O4 Pro in there. I mean, then I wouldn't have to even fly with the naked GoPro or the GoPro bones anymore.
Yeah, I think what this is definitely going to do. I mean, I would think it. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure some people still want to use the GoPros and action cams, but this new O4 unit is going to probably do.
The dynamic range on that camera is just awesome, and I know that I've been on here before, and I raved about the DJI Avata 1 camera, which is basically the O3 air unit camera, and it was cool at the time, but the Avata 2 camera, which is again same thing we're looking at here for O4, it's just a huge jump. It's just a huge jump to where you can honestly just get that and not worry about an action camera. So
that's the way I had a video where he compared the O3 air unit camera against the O4. You can clearly see the difference, and where the difference really shined is in low light or anything like that.
Low light.
But of course, he did also. Then he mounted the Action 5 Pro on a drone that had the O4 air unit, and the same thing. In good light, they both look pretty good, but the Action 5 Pro outshined it in the low light conditions.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The low light on that was immediately what I noticed about the Avata 2 camera is how much better it was in low light.
Yeah, so that's kind of worth making the
Yeah.
front of your drone bigger to fit that bigger camera in there.
Yeah. John,
One
if you
weird
say-
thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Johnny.
No, John, I was just going to ask you, do you think more people are excited about the O4 or we saying light, but the O4 than the the newer O4 as far as because that little one at 109 is a great price,
Yeah, the price is good, and DJI has entered an area again where people were resigned to them ever stepping foot. Like Johnny, I genuinely did not think that DJI cared to create anything that would target, the tiny whoop crowd.
Right.
And here it is. Part of the reason I bought the walk snail system is because I like that, the walk snail V1 system is extremely similar to DJI's first generation system. And if you wanted that on a 1S drone like this, you weren't going to get it from DJI. And I kind of figured that they just did not care, that the market is just not big enough for them to care to make a video transmitter that was suitable for that. And to find out with the release of the O4 that I was wrong, I couldn't be happier. Like this opens up a whole new class of drones in the FPV world for DJI to come in. And yeah, it's kind of like a dream come true. It's not the implementation is not perfect for 1S, unfortunately, because they did their best, but past a certain voltage, I think it's like 3.5. I've been seeing reports like Mads Tech, I think, said this, that like past 3.5 volts per cell, it starts to throttle back a little bit, and it'll also just cut off a lot earlier than Walk Snail or HD0. But again, the market is already adapting to this. There's going to be new flight controllers that come out with totally dedicated power that'll fit that air unit just fine. And it's going to be cool to do some HD whooping, man. I'm excited as hell about this. I really, really am. I really am.
I knew it would fit. I knew it would fit you perfect as far as that aspect of it,
Now,
Absolutely.
Let
What
me
do you
ask
guys think?
questions from more of a behind the scenes thing. I know obviously you can order from DJI when it comes back in stock, but do other, where you typically go to get FPV parts, is it being sold all over the place?
Yeah, I mean, you can get it from, I think you pre-order it from Pyrodrone. You can pre-order it from Get FPV. All the typical FPV stores have places to buy it. I believe they're all. I think they're all pre-orders right at this very moment.
Dave Chaddix, Dave had it at Fly High FPV. Got a big order in today, so he actually has some in hand. So
good. That's good for people to know. Yeah, and that's a great store. Fly High FPV. Dave is an awesome dude. I met him at Minefield. Back at Minefield 4.0, and he's just an awesome dude. And buying from his store, he'll always take care of you. Anything that happens.
John, did it surprise you went out of stock that quick? Like, I mean, that night they were already out of stock.
Oh no, it didn't surprise me. Like I said, I think a lot of people were blown away that DJI did this, and this is gonna really change. It's really gonna change the landscape. I think it's really gonna be a big deal.
Any questions or comments from the non-FPV people on the panel? Marcus, Bill, DeMarco?
All I'm going to say is that to Johnny's point, $109 sounds like a steal for me if you're building a drone or whatever. And the thing that's going to be exciting for non-FPV people like us, Ron and Bill and DeMarco, hey, we may not fly FPV, but we watch FPV videos, and this camera is going to give us some really cool stuff to see.
Bill?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the same as Marcus. I think, this camera is going to be fantastic, and to you guys that fly FPV. This sounds like a real great innovation from DJI, and they're making they're making FPV real and accessible, and I know John can probably attest to this. I mean, what was it, probably 2-3 years ago, what you had to do to get these together it's almost like night and day now, and all these innovations and everything are fantastic. And and like I've always said, DJI doesn't waste technology, and you can bet that this technology will be used in other types of drones as well too. So kudos to DJI for this.
Yeah, I never really like mounting an action camera on top of another drone, so I like the improved camera. DeMarco, your thoughts on either of these air units or both?
The price is right. I mean, but I wouldn't use it though. But hey, technology, it keeps moving on. That's great. That's great, especially for you guys too. So.
John, how much longer do you think they'll have the O3, or will they just keep the O3 at that price and keep all 3 units for a while?
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't doubt the O3 isn't even really in production anymore. I could be wrong about that, but I think they're just going to sell whatever's left of O3, and that'll be the end of it. I mean, there's really, aside from the V2 goggles, I guess there's not a whole lot of incentive for them to continue to keep selling O3. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. They seem to be stepping away from that goggle set, though. So,
scoring update in the game: 24-3 Rams at halftime.
Yay.
Wow.
DeMarco, looked like we called this one, huh?
Hopefully.
DeMarco,
Bill, DeMarco and I have been sucked in the fourth quarter. Actually, the last 2 minutes of games more times than I can tell you.
Yeah.
I hope you made a nice bet, DeMarco.
Yes, I did.
Bill, DeMarco and I have we have more time management issues the last couple minutes of games than Mike Tomlin.
You're just killing Bill over there. Kill him.
Oh, you stabbed me right here, Ron. You're stabbing me right here.
John, you got a question there? If Ron can put it up, thumb drone
from Thumb Drive.
Uh,
Well, Thumb Drive just has one. Can we now add an FPV cam to our non-FPV drones? Think M30.
I mean, isn't the M30? That's the big.
Enterprise
that's the Enterprise, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these would not really concern that one. Yeah, I wouldn't know if you could put that on that. I would think probably not, but
Yeah. And DeMarco, you have a lot of questions about is this your next drone?
Yeah, I saw Andrew's question. No.
Oh, hey, we got Scott to do in the chat. Hey, Scott, hello. How are you tonight?
We love Minnesota.
Yeah, Scott, did you ever
Absolutely.
did you ever get your Air 3S that was stuck in customs?
He's got 2 of them stuck, I believe.
The thumb drive's clarifying. I mean, M30 has an FPV cam and a payload.
yeah, I'm not knowledgeable enough to answer that one, man.
Hey, we got Eddie Nunes in the house. Eddie, DJI removed all geofencing today with an update. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. That's going to be a segue into
Perfect.
our next segment here. Oh, actually, I'm gonna go in order here because I don't want to miss anything.
No, since Eddie brought it up, why don't we do that, Ron? I mean, I think
Okay,
it's
well, I have a couple of quickies, but we can go right to that. So, okay, let me get the graphic up here. DeMarco, you start the conversation. I'm going to get the graphic up on the screen.
DeMarco may not know.
Yeah, DeMarco,
so what happened today?
Let me focus on the director here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that.
Take that to me.
So what happened is on DJI's Viewpoints, their official blog, they announced that they are going to discontinue geofencing. Now, the drone will still give you a warning, right, and tell you that you're in a no-fly zone. It'll tell you right on the screen and give you a warning, but it will not stop you from taking off and flying. And I think this is great news. I think it allows us. It's just one less hoop you have to jump through. Now, let's make sure everybody understands, everybody out there flying your drone, it doesn't mean that you're legal to fly in a no-fly zone. You still got to get Lance approval. get FAA approval, depending on what you're doing. And but the point of it is, you will not then have to jump through that extra hoop of going through DJI to prove that you have those approvals before you can take off.
Marcus,
Well,
when
can I
is
say
this
something?
effective?
One of the things I thought of immediately was, guess who's already had this, my Spectre Mini and Spectre Air.
Right.
That's been at least 2, if not 3 months that these drones are like that. And yeah, it still gives you the caution and the warning when you're in the area. And like Marcus said, this is a real important point, is you still need to get a LAANC approval. You can't just go take off and fly in these zones. It's what it does is it eliminates that step of having to get it unlocked from DJI.
Yeah, Bill, one point of a bone of contention here, especially for kind of real estate flyers. Lots of times we're in a Class G flight area, which doesn't require any permissions, but yet we're geo-locked from flying.
Right.
Our DJI
Right.
drones. So that's really bad because, legally we could fly here to get the picture of the house, but out in the field, if we don't have the world's perfect internet or be able to jump through a bunch of hoops on the phone, we can't get unlocked to get the job done.
Well, so what I'm saying is I'm going to go out and try this out tomorrow.
Marcus, before we go on any further, is this in effect as of right now?
Yes, today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, so you make sure you have to update your fly app and so forth, I guess, is my understanding. So
Okay.
make sure you get all the updates.
Done.
Yeah. But I'm going to go out. There's a park that's about probably 2 miles from the Boise airport that I've had Lance approval there to fly before to 400 feet. So I think I'm going to go out there tomorrow and see if I can just get Lance approval and see if the drone will let me take off.
Marcus, this is some of the best news I've heard this year.
I totally agree. This is great news. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Puts us on par with the Altel drones then as far as ease of.
But it does kind of segue into the other thing about us being responsible flyers.
Yes, it does. It does.
Well, one of the things I think with this, and this is an important point, DJI is doing this for a reason, because you would get the argument would always pop up. Well, Autel doesn't have it, and I'll get an Autel before I'll get a DJI. Well, that eliminates the point of contention regarding DJI drones, and it makes it on somebody's radar instead of having to look elsewhere.
I misspoke, guys. I said you have to update the app. You have to update your fly zone database on your drone.
The database.
Lauren is saying,
Which pops up in the same procedure you do to update the.
And if you have any questions, you can go into the about page on your controller when you're fired up and do it. So.
Steve is getting the chart changes of Attitude tomorrow, and here Richard's asking is this all DJI drones or just newer ones, or
in theory it would be all of them, Richard.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Every drone that had it with geofence, yeah. Because
yeah.
Autel a few years back wouldn't even give you a warning. And then they did add the warning to let you at least know that you were in the zone, but they kind of,
And I kind of agree with what Intel Maxell is saying there. I mean, DJI has been a good citizen. They've always tried to help with compliance. And at this point, why would they be worried about that, right?
They always try to be good, and then it didn't buy them any goodwill. And
it did help them a bit. Yeah, it didn't buy them any goodwill. Yeah.
Well,
I don't
how
know why people are
Air in the picture there.
I don't know why people are in such agreement that it has anything to do with the ban here, though, because didn't they already do this in the UK? Haven't they been?
They did. That's a good point.
I mean, I really don't think this has anything to do with the ban situation.
Lauren says this is U.S. only.
That's why we have John Cuppi on the show. He brings up these good points.
Thanks, Lauren, for that clarifying that in the comments there too. We're gonna, and of course, Richard says good for first responders.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. We got another hot topic, kind of related to this, but we'll end the show with the the fire plane. I got a quickie here. We had 2 releases this week. Tomorrow, of course, the flip, and on Thursday. Now we're not doing a launch party for this. Insta360 has something set to launch on Thursday. Their promo is stay locked in. January 16th, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My guess is by the picture, it looks like a new updated their phone gimbal.
Oh God, I was hoping that it was a drone.
Yeah, I think it's a phone gimbal, but I'd just be guessing. I don't know. But
no drone.
Yeah, the drone. I just want to get that in there. We will not have a launch party, but for the drone, we'll probably be on the air at some point Thursday telling you about it. But let's go to the closing story of the night and the hot topic story for probably ever since it happened about a week ago. And Marcus has already made a video on this, and I've linked the video right there at the chat and thing in the show notes on number 6. If you want to see Marcus's full video, but he's going to kind of give you the highlights right here. The firefighting plane in SoCal that was hit by the drone last week. Well, they thought it was hit by a drone, but nobody really knew at the time. They just said it. But since then, we have new information from the FBI, and Marcus will present, kind of a recap of a video he put up today or last night. Marcus.
Yeah, well, I guess it just brings up a lot of concern, and it does kind of dovetail with DJI getting us away from geofencing, and that's the responsibility of everybody as individual drone pilots. And if you know that somebody is going to buy a drone, make sure that they know the rules. So what happened is one of the Canadian Super Scooper planes that scoops up water out in the ocean, then drops it over the fire. Fantastic piece of technology. Look into it if you get the chance. It's amazing. But they evidently had a drone strike, and the pilots didn't even know it till they landed. And there's a hole in the leading edge of the left-hand wing. And the FBI posted a lot of good close-up picture, as well as just a picture of the whole aircraft so you can see it. And then inside that hole, they found a DJI Mini 3 Pro. You can tell by looking at they put the drone and the pieces of the drone in a plastic bag, and they took a
Marcus, can I stop you for a second? I've seen it called a Mini 3 more than a Mini 3 Pro.
It's a Mini 3 Pro. It looks like a Mini 3 Pro to me.
Okay.
But in any case, it is a Mini 3. Whether it's a Mini 3 or Mini 3 Pro really probably makes little difference.
Right.
In fact, it's a sub 250 drone, and it still had the sub 250 logo on the battery. So we do know that the drone was being flown, would not need to be registered, and would not be squawking remote ID. But we also all know that no matter, you still have to comply with all drone regulations. Even if you're flying a sub 250 drone, even if you don't register it, you still have to comply with regulations. And clearly we had a drone operator that was flagrantly disregarding a TFR, disregarding what's the first thing that I'm getting excited here.
Oh boy.
Glasses. What's the first thing that they tell you when you learn how to fly?
Give way to manned aircraft.
Be in a void, give way to manned aircraft. And this guy clearly didn't know where he was at, right? And you have to imagine this thing's got 2 big turboprop engines on it. It ain't going to be quiet. It's going to be loud. So anyway, smacked into that thing.
And they're flying super low to the ground as well. Keep that in mind. We're talking about very low altitude.
They could get as low,
not low to the ground, but yeah,
as low as 100 feet is what I read.
Yeah.
Low and lower. I mean, it's not a jet. No.
Well, I'm just telling you what I read in the information about the plane, DeMarco. They said that when they're dropping water, they'll get as low as 100 feet.
Yeah.
So
Tom.
Yeah. So Tom is that was the next point that I was going to bring up, is that, on that video, I got all these people that are in denial. And John, you and I had this conversation while it was going on. John is the one that kind of pointed out to me, no, that mini drone could go through that wing, and it certainly did. The evidence is there. So people are claiming that it didn't, that it's all a fake, and that they're just trying to get rid of our drones and so forth. Those kind of conspiracy theories require a bunch of people to keep the secret, and so they never work. But it's amazing to me how many people promote those kind of conspiracies and are in denial that this could happen. Now, one other point that I want to make here is, and Lauren just sent me this information, and thank you, Lauren. They did. He looked into it, and because one of the things I was concerned about is, man, how fragile are these aircraft? If a little 250-gram drone can do that kind of damage, what about a 15-pound Pelican or something? Well, he says that the leading edge on the 415 is about 0.06 of an inch thick, as opposed to normally they're about 0.08 of an inch. So it's a little bit thinner on this particular aircraft. And then I would also say that it probably was a perfect storm, right? I mean, the little drone probably hit it at just the right angle. There's probably 100 different ways that could have happened that it would have just bounced off. This pretty clearly was the perfect storm. So, yeah. So that's kind of about it. I answered about 1 million comments on that video today, and I was
a lot of views.
But I was shocked at how many people were in denial over what actually happened, and so many people are just even denying that it even happened at all.
One of the things
a lot of people are concerned it may even force more restrictions, especially take the under 250-gram rolls away and make everybody fly.
That's a point I made in the video. Yeah, Bill, what were you going to say?
What I was going to say was, a lot of people don't understand physics, okay, and aerodynamics and what planes are made out of, and this harkens back a lot to the incident with the shuttle Columbia, okay, because when it lifted off, all right, it was a chunk of styrofoam that hit it. Now you have to understand this was super cold because of the propellants involved during launch of the shuttle. They were frozen to like minus I don't know how many degrees, and it hit the leading edge of the shuttle, and that's what caused the Columbia disaster. When it came in, we saw it breaking up live on the news. It's because it hit that trailing edge, and it was a piece of styrofoam, and people were like shake their heads. But then they went back because NASA had cameras, and they looked at it, and they could tell that it sure as heck that it hit that leading edge of that wing. And you know what? There was a few years ago, I did a video very similar to what Marcus did, and there was another strike, and people were like saying, how can it go through there? You have to understand whether it's aluminum or some type of composite or something, okay? Manufacturers of airplanes, they get paid, designers get paid money to get those planes as light as possible because a light plane saves fuel. And that's key, and that's important, especially like on airliners. But on that leading edge right there, you don't want to have a lot of resistance on that. And that's why, quite simply, it's going to be razor thin in that area. And like Marcus said, it was a perfect storm. It hit it at the right angle, the right speed at the right time. You have to realize, okay, how fast that plane was going and how fast that drone was going, and boom, okay, it's going to go right through. That's exactly why that happened.
So, Bill, I was reading that they said the speed of that aircraft typically when it's dropping the water is about 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. And that's very slow for an aircraft, by the way.
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly right.
That's very slow because, and that's a good point, Marcus, because they have to really drop their speed in order to go ahead and try to, get that water where it needs to be. And they're going to be at a low altitude as well, too, like you guys said, 100 feet. So it was a perfect storm. And
Bill,
no conspiracy here.
Bill, what's the lesson here, though? Tell us what the lesson that we all need to take away from this.
Oh my gosh! Well, you know what? And I'll go back to something. Remember when Houston had the floods a few years ago? Okay.
Yep.
And I saw somebody took their drone up, and you could hear helicopters out there. Okay. And I blasted the crap out of him. I said, "Look," I said, "You know what? Okay. You could cause a rescue or a search helicopter to come down. How dare you do that?" He said, "We've been stuck here for days. We don't know if we can get out or not, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, you know what? Okay. that's a case in point for having communication such as ham radio, or being able to communicate externally. You can't go up there and do this. Okay, that can bring a manned aircraft down. People could lose their lives. Bottom line is, if there's something up in the air, you know what? If I'm up flying, because we have a small local airport by us, okay, doesn't have a tower, and if I hear a plane or if I get that notification on there, I freeze right where I'm at. I don't do a thing. I may drop it down 20 feet or so, but I'm taking a look. I'm seeing where that plane is, and then if I'm anywhere near that, it's coming back home. Okay. I don't even think about it.
Your head's on a swivel. One of the points I made in the video, Bill, was that that your ears are a really good defense. And I had a really good comment. Somebody came back and said, well, that may be true where you're at, but if you're in an urban area like Los Angeles or something like that, he said there are so many aircraft in the air at any times. He said it can get confusing and you may not know that. So if you're in someplace like that, you may not be able to trust your ears. So pay attention.
Yeah.
Well, one of the lessons that I learned is that Marcus and Bill are clearly feds and sheep. That's what I learned. That's what I've learned. No,
We love
you know
you
what?
too,
I
John.
actually feel great that to have this kind of conversation here on this panel, and that I think we all seem to be on the same page here. Haven't gone down the conspiracy holes of it didn't happen, it's fake, it's an FBI plant. That stuff is really, really giving me a headache. We want to address the bird thing, because I think one of the biggest things that I've seen in the groups is, like, how could the Mini have done that damage? Like, what would a bird have done? Do we want to talk about that? Like, why did that damage occur from the Mini? What's the big difference between the Mini and, say, a bird?
Well, Lauren was telling me that the battery itself is denser.
The battery, exactly. The battery.
Well,
It's
I'll bring up the fact, you guys remember Miracle on the Hudson, where Captain Sullenberger landed the U.S. airplane on the Hudson after a dual bird strike, shut out both engines. Okay. Birds are, they are a menace to aviation. They really are. I mean,
Bill, I'll give you some secondhand. I have some secondhand knowledge of that. When I was a kid at the time, I was probably a teenager. I grew up on a farm. My uncle and one of the other farm buddies, he had a private aircraft. They flew down to Mexico to do some deep sea fishing, and they were flying back, just a single engine private aircraft, and they hit a bird, and it went right through the wing of that aircraft. Now, they didn't crash, they didn't anything, but they had to make an emergency landing and get that aircraft on the ground. And I remember as a kid seeing pictures of it. It tore the heck out of the wing on that aircraft.
Yeah. You don't mess around with birds like that. I mean, they are like, and that was the only time it's ever been known to happen, that dual engine failure because it hit birds. I mean, it was incredible how that happened. So yeah, birds are a menace to aviation, 100%.
But more bad news on kind of drone publicity during the Pittsburgh Steelers game Saturday night against the Ravens. The game was halted in the third quarter due to a drone sighting.
I remember Kirk Herbstreit was saying the game's halted, and then like one of the other announcers goes, yeah, they said they had spotted a drone, so they had to halt the game. Not that it made any difference, though.
Here's another
longer, right?
Yeah.
A point to make in that regard. I think where we're falling down is that we need to give new pilots more information, that they have to take that trust test so that we know that they understand the rules. Now, I understand we're always going to have people that just are going to flagrantly disregard whatever. But I also think there's a good share of people, they just don't know. They have no clue.
Oh, Marcus, for sure.
Yeah. And so you go into Costco. You can go into Costco right now. You can buy a Mini 4K or I think they even are still selling the Mini 3 there. But you're going to buy that drone. There's nothing there that tells you anything about the trust test or any of that. So
it's probably somebody that's had his drone for a long time and hadn't flown it a lot, and he saw an opportunity to fly it, but so has no knowledge of any of the rules, and not. I mean, because if he's a regular flyer, he would have known pretty much.
Hey,
I know
Marcus,
it's doofy. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry, John. I was going to say, you were talking about Costco. I was at Sam's Club recently. There was a dad who was buying their kid a mini. Handed it to him and said, "All right, go ahead and buy it." Handed him the cardboard thing. And I was looking at that, and that crossed my mind. They have no idea what they're getting to. I mean, like he looked. Max is age 12. Have no idea. It's
which, by the way, that's too young to legally fly a drone, right? 12.
But no, what I'm trying to say is like
straight to jail.
It's a toy, but it's not a toy.
Yeah.
Right.
What I was gonna say was, though, it's been a while since I've seen this, probably because my DJI account has been established forever. But I thought that DJI was still doing a quiz for any new user that sets up a drone in the Fly app. Did they take that away, or is that still in effect?
That could be, John, because I always just skip. When I see anything
you
like
can
that,
skip it. You can just hit skip though.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not mandatory.
How do you blame these
finish
people?
quiz.
How do you blame them? I mean,
well, and here's the thing. You can get somebody else to take that quiz for you if you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, and here you do it for me, and then boom, go out and fly. And
it's a hard quiz to not to pass, but
I mean, it's
an educational thing.
Well, and here's my thing is I think they need to have something along the lines of a trust test that you take from the government. And if you don't take that, you have to enter, when you pass it, you get a code from the government. You have to enter that code in on the Fly app. And if you don't have that code, you can't fly. I mean, something like that. John,
I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not. This is a tough one. I'm not totally convinced that I don't know what the answer to this is, but I'm not convinced that adding more hoops to jump through either is necessarily the answer. I have seen, unfortunately, 107 licensed pilots on Instagram flying in these zones. They obviously should not be. I think the FAA has even said they've not given anybody exemptions other than, first responders to fly in places like that. So we know there's no way they could have been able to fly there, right?
So I'm just going to dogpile on what you just said, John. Look on every network news channel, and you're going to see a ton of drone footage underneath that fire. How did they get that?
And there's been discussions on Reddit as to how the hell are they able to do that? Then again, I just read the other day that the FAA had not given any permission. So, I mean, I know I gave Marcus a little bit of hell for this one in his video. I said that I don't feel like requiring a license, like a 107 style test and license to fly all drones would really fix this. Also, I think we should also wait and be careful to see what is the situation with this particular individual. What if he was registered? What if he had taken the trust test and just doesn't care? I mean, given the fact that there are pilots that have their 107s that are out there breaking the rules to get a shot, it wouldn't shock me to find out that, hey, actually the guy is legit.
Go ahead, DeMarco.
No, I was going to say this. Here's the thing about that. So the person who bought that drone and registered it, we have no idea if he or she was flying it. We don't know that.
Okay, so I'm gonna
wait. Hold on, Marcus. Prove it. I left the drone sitting there. Somebody picked it up and flew it.
I'm gonna dovetail into that, DeMarco, into exactly what you're just saying. So they'll have, because they have the drone, they'll get the serial number from the drone.
They have the SD card.
Yeah. So, well, that's true. We don't know but anyway, they'll be able to find out who purchased the drone. There's no question, right? But to DeMarco's point, that's a long way from proving that person was flying that drone, and legally, you got to be able to prove that.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw, but somebody put up in the comments that the drone has been supposedly traced back to an actor in the Hollywood area. and they haven't. I just saw that comment pop up, which I thought was very interesting. So, who knows? And it's like, and I think, and I kind of agree with John here. We probably need to jump to conclusions about this person, because this could have been something accidental. It's like let's give people the benefit of the doubt. Innocent until proven guilty, kind of a thing. But if they were reckless, and like, remember, I think it was maybe a couple of years ago, it was a playoff game for the Cincinnati Bengals, and this guy, I mean, it was all over the stadium where the Bengals play. I mean, it was, and right above fans and everything. So
he was right above the players. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, this was right in your face, and he paid the piper for it. He's gotten fined, and I don't know if he's serving jail time or not. But it was flagrant. But you also have to remember too that whoever owned this drone, okay, there's a record of them with that serial number, because that serial number gets reported to DJI, and law enforcement can get that serial number and trace that back to who that person is. So there's a trail here. There's an audit trail. It's not like, you buy, say, you go out on Amazon and buy a, Holy Stone drone, and there's no real serial number on it or anything. There's no way to trace it when you activate it or something. I don't know. I'm just kind of.
So, Bill,
I want to cut in for just a minute. I don't want to forget this. Richard, our big fan, Richard, gave us a generous super chat there. So
thank you, Richard.
Sorry for interrupting the flow, but I wanted to get that in. Richard's one of our biggest supporters.
But Bill, I agree with you, and but to DeMarco's point, that doesn't tell us who the pilot is. That tells us who purchased the drone. And
yeah, hey Marcus, can I help you? Can you help me walk through this? Okay, so say I purchase a under 250 gram drone, right, as a hobbyist. So I don't really register any place, right? I said I do have to activate it with DJI, because if I don't activate it, it won't even take off. I believe that's
exactly
correct, right?
Well, it'll take off, but it'll only fly
beginner mode or whatever.
Yeah, 30 feet away or something
anyways,
like that.
I haven't registered with anybody yet, the FFA, just unlocked it with DJI. So say I keep that drone for a year and I sell it on Craigslist, or I just sell it to somebody in the town or whatever. Nothing that's recorded any place. So now, okay, the only reference to that drone is that I whatever, registered with DJI or whatever, unlocked it with DJI or whatever to get it going. So now, like, if somebody backtracked that, they would only see me as the first person.
Well, the person you sold it to would also be, they couldn't fly it more than 30 feet away.
But I've already activated the drone. And
no, but listen, Ron. Just because that other person activated the drone, if you sell it on to somebody else and they're using it, right? They can't. They got to bind it themselves.
Yeah, you have to unbind it.
Right. That's why you unbind the account, right? So it's no longer tied to you.
What's that, Ron?
Because they're using their phone in the equation.
No, you have to unbind it from your account, and then they bind it.
No, Ron's making a good point here, Johnny. You're missing it. So what Ron is saying is, say you've got the DJI RC2.
Mm-hmm.
So then, hey, he's got the whole remote and everything. But here's what could happen, Ron, is that if you don't sign in, you know how DJI asks you to sign in once in a while? Eventually it would catch up to you, and you would have to sign in on that RC, and then that would lock it down.
Gotcha. But I mean, again, it is a path that this could, and you say eventually, but say the person gets this drone, they do this illegal flying away with it.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. That's the problem that they're going to have proving who flew it. But there's going to have to be other evidence that they're going to have to. Oh, go ahead, John.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was going to say they could do things like an electronic geofence warrant. They can tell you can tell who is in an area from cell phones and car navigation systems. They're definitely going to have to use those methods.
Exactly. Other evidence will tell them who it was,
and they'll get it. They'll do whatever warrants they need to get it done.
John, something like this, like you were saying, if they talk to the guy says, "No, I wasn't flying. I wasn't even home." Well, they can look. You were standing here in your
Exactly.
backyard.
Exactly,
Your
DeMarco.
cell phone was here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and I want to say this too. Okay, if you go, if John Doe goes out and purchases a DJI Mini 3 Pro, okay, you know what? John Doe is responsible for that drone. All right, because legally in a court of law, it will trace back to him. And because you look at some things, and unfortunately, there was an example of a school shooting where a father purchased a gun for a son. And they're going back to the father on that because he's the one that purchased the gun. And it's the same kind of thing here. Okay. If that person purchased a Mini 3 Pro and it wasn't they should be responsible for it and know where it's at, because I'll tell you what, my son-in-law is a responsible gun owner. All right. All of his stuff is under lock and key. My granddaughters have zero access to that. He's very careful, extremely careful about that kind of thing. And it's the same thing here. We need to treat these drones, we just not willy-nilly in the house. And, like your teenager picks it up and says, I saw dad do this. Let's go outside and fly. And oops, an accident happens. Well, guess what? Dad's responsible because he didn't keep that thing, have his eye on that kind of a thing.
Okay, Bill, from that, I'm going to segue into this. My wife just brought me a chili dog. So
Sounds good.
I'm going to sign off.
You're bad.
If Bruce
we
was
want
here,
some
he would
too.
say though that nobody's ever died from a drone. So there is that point.
There is that. It's a good point. Good night, gentlemen.
Marcus. Thank you so
Maybe,
much.
Good night,
Good
man.
night, Marcus.
We're gonna wrap the show because a lot of us have to get up at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Maybe Stu was flying that drone.
Yeah, Stu could be flying these drones. But yeah, we're gonna cut this off. This is the kind of conversation that never ends. But a lot of us have to get up early in the morning for this big launch tomorrow, the flip. And but it's been a great show. I want to thank our special guest tonight, John Cuppi, and Bill the Drone Reviewer, kind of helped us wade through some of these topics. And John, I'd love to get you back on after you've had the air units and you've had a chance to maybe install them in some drones, and maybe you'll have some tips and tricks, pros and cons.
Yeah, that would be great, Ron. I really appreciate that.
And Johnny too, because Johnny he'll be doing his builds. You may have these things by the end of the week, maybe, or
yeah. I mean, they shipping out either tonight. Well, it says the third. It's actually said today's date. I was looking. It said the 13th, but I haven't got an email yet. So
now, Johnny, will you and your son-in-law do a plug and play where you just take an O3 out of a drone? And
no, because he's going to try to adapt it to this little tiny hawk. So it's not made for this. So he'll have to definitely do some. In the other O4 unit I really have no plans for it. We had just got through building a 5-inch, so just kind of hang on to it,
And remember, for the Pro, the camera, Ron, is going to be the biggest struggle for a lot lot of people. It's not going to fit in almost all the frames that are there because the screws are not
quite difficult, right?
Yeah, you're going to have to do a 3D print solution.
John, you like me, you're getting emails every day from all the companies. They already.
Yeah, there's already cases, there's all sorts of adapters, things like that. Yeah, the market is already on fire for it. So
within 30 days or 60 days, you'll be able to put it on almost any frame that's out there, I would say.
Yeah, most likely. Or there will be a 3D print that covers it. Yeah.
So just to kind of simplify things for folks out there, basically people that build a home would be flying with about a 2 quality video cameras as soon as these things arrive.
Yes, that's pretty much correct.
Yeah.
Bill,
you have any closing thoughts?
Well, first of all, scoring update 27-9 Rams in the third quarter. So the Rams look like they got a lock on this game so far. So you never know. Minnesota can explode with their offense. So we'll see. I may tune that in before I go to bed. Looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow morning. That's going to be great. Tomorrow night on Rotor Talk, we'll have the post-release analysis of everything. Ron and Marcus will join me. We'll have all the facts. We'll give you all the FYIs. We'll also probably take a look at some videos in the meantime after the release and tell you which ones to watch and give you some tips on that. Also, I actually flew yesterday. It was the first time in 6 weeks due to weather and being sick with a upper respiratory garbage that both my wife and I had. Got a Spectre Mini video coming out. Got an Air 3S video coming out. I was excited to get out and fly. It was 49 degrees yesterday, which was a heat wave for us. So looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.
Thank you, Bill. Johnny, you have a show come up this week, don't you?
I do, yeah. Wednesday night, we're just showing some viewer videos, and of course, we'll play the pilot from the Clues. We'll get 2 contestants on, and I think Morgan's going to join us, and Ron may hop in a few minutes.
Captain Ray's on.
Captain Ray is on a cruise. Yeah. He's sailing for 7 days, so he's enjoying himself. So yeah, it'll be just a simple little show, and everybody loves to see their video. So yeah, if you got a video you want shown, hey, send it to me. We'll get it on Wednesday night.
Thank you, John. And put a second pot of coffee on tomorrow morning. It's going to be early morning.
Yep.
DeMarco.
Good night, everybody. Fun show tonight. Thanks for joining us, boys.
We'll see you maybe in the morning, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Get up early.
Try to hop on.
Get the credit cards out. Folks, good night. Again, thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the support for my AFib, but nobody's here at the beginning. The doctor said he got it. I've been checking my rates with my watch. I haven't hit a high pulse rate since I've had the ablation, so it looks like they did get it. So so all's good. And said I'm gonna hit the sack here, and I'll see you guys in the morning, and we'll meet the flip.
Good night.
Take care, Ron.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for all
Best of health. John out.
And here we're ending the Bill left.